to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Guns, self-defense, concealed carry. This is the Patriot Defense Podcast. From the war room in Idaho's high desert, here's your host, Todd Echols.
And we are back once again. It is Saturday afternoon, and I am tucked away in the war room somewhere in the high desert of southern Idaho. And today I got a treat for you. So if you guys think back, I think it was back at the beginning of the year, I actually ventured out and took some more training classes myself. I tried to do that at least, I won't say every year, probably every few years. And I went to a big 3-day course up in Arizona, and it was taught by the TPC, or formerly known as TPC for short, and they are actually known as the Tactical Performance Center. And they actually arranged with me earlier in the spring, after I took my class, to come down here, and they wanted to know if I wanted to host a class on my range, which I very gladly agreed to. Their class, and I talk about it almost in every podcast, was very, very eye-opening to me. It took what I already knew and put a bunch of tweaks and spins and twists on it and made it just that much better. And the way they teach is absolutely phenomenal. And they've got 4 students down here, and we spent the last 2 days. 2 days. 4 students came down. I think there's a couple from like Minnesota, a couple from Utah that came down here, and they spent the last 2 days in here just learning. You can see the looks on their faces when they go out and they shoot. And then they do these small adjustments and small tweaks, and they listen to what the instructor has to say. And it just, their groups just almost instantaneously just tighten up, right? And the confidence and everything else, the way they teach is so phenomenal. So what I've done today is I have talked to, his name's Rossen Hristov, and he is the head instructor, he'll tell you his title when we get to the interview with him, but he sat down with me for about 30 or 40 minutes, and we talked about TPC. We talked about how they teach and why they do what they do, and we talked a little bit about him and his background. He's got a pretty colorful black background, been a lot of places, done a lot of really cool stuff when it comes to firearms, and he's also a competitor. So he talked about that just a little bit as well. So it's going to be a great interview. What I really like is one of their philosophies is they talk about the what, the how, the when, and the why. And I know Rossen, he'll dive further into that, and fantastic. I know sometimes you go, oh, it's just another interview. It's going to be kind of boring. But let me tell you, this is a great interview. And I'll tell you what, if you guys are ever looking for any good courses, here I am. I'm not even pimping myself today, right? I'm just telling you to go look up TPC, look up the Tactical Performance Center. They're out of St. George, Utah. They travel around and do some classes. Go hit up their website, check them out, find some classes. You will not regret it. I promise you that. You will not regret it. One of the things they teach, this is one of the phrases. So I've been sitting there observing. I haven't been actually taking the class. He told me I could jump in if I want, but I wanted to observe, and I wanted to see how they instruct and kind of look at it from an instructor's point of view. When I'm in there shooting, I'm in it, and I can't look from the outside in and get a very good perspective. And so that's what I've been doing for the last couple of days. I know this is the morning of the 3rd day. They haven't arrived yet. And so we're going to finish up the day. Students are in for a treat, a little sore muscles, sore hands. They've shot lots of rounds. I think they're going to be pushing probably 1,900 rounds by the time today is out. They've shot that over the last 3 days. But one of the big takeaways, one of the one-liners, right? This is what Rossen says. This is key. Kinesthetic awareness. Control your body, control your muscle groups. That's what it is, right? Control your body, control your muscle groups. It's all about kinesthetic awareness, and then you can control the firearm. And that's just a little bit. There's so much more into it, but I think right now we will go ahead and we will get right into that interview. Todd with Patriot Defense here, and I am sitting here today with, I'm going to probably butcher the names, Rossen Hristov?
You didn't butcher nothing, actually. From first time, excellent.
Nice. Good. And you're out here with TPC, that's the Tactical Performance Center out of St. George?
St. George, Utah, yes.
St. George, Utah. And you, I actually went down to Arizona and took a class from you guys. Your handgun mastery, is it handgun? It's handgun mastery 1 is what I took down in Arizona earlier in the year. I tell you what, I've talked about it on this podcast, an absolutely phenomenal class. It just changed the way I shot. It changed the way I teach, everything. And I mean, tell us about yourself and tell us how you got into this, and we can dive into what the class is.
So about myself, as probably the listeners will guess with my exotic accent, I'm not natural American, but I'm from Europe, from Bulgaria, which is just north from Greece.
Okay.
Right. It's and I spent several years in Bulgarian army. After that, 7 years in the United States Diplomatic Security Service. Then was involved in several private contracts in the Middle East, like a tactical instructor.
Gotcha.
And I had the opportunity to work with different specialists from different regions of the world and to compare different ways and methods of teaching.
Okay.
Which I find very, very useful.
Sure, it's a tool in the toolbox, right?
It is, and also, you also get familiar with the different cultures. Also, not only that, we work with some British SAS, with some Australians. I even had some it was very short period of time that we work with some of the guys from even Russian Alpha at the same time.
Wow.
Plenty of different units from the United States as well, South Africans. So a pretty large variety of
Yeah. Just yeah. You've been around and done it all. It sounds like. Yeah.
To a certain degree. A certain degree.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You're a well-rounded individual.
So that helps me actually to analyze the different teaching methods and to improve and to form, the better way to present the information to the students, which I think is the most important thing when you're an instructor, regardless if you're in a firearms industry or whatever. The good teacher is supposed to make the things to look easy, right? And the way to create such a system so you'll present the information in a very progressive manner, layer by layer by layer, without actually spilling the big secret at the very end. You have a final goal that you need to achieve without telling before that to the students. So at the end, they will be surprised. And the idea behind that is to prevent them to stay focused on the outcome. You want to emphasize to the students to stay focused on the process and to understand the process in depth, every single individual step, to understand it. And the outcome is just a consequence of the process.
Gotcha. And I'm observing over the 3 days. You said I could jump into the class, and as an instructor, I looked at this. I wanted to see how you taught some of this, right? So I took the class, and I've instituted some of this stuff right into some of my classes and taught a few different things. But it's nice to sit back and watch you teach this, because as an instructor myself, I can observe how you do it. I can observe the process, and I absolutely love it. And I'm going to pull up my phone here if it pulls up. You've got some great. I've been taking notes for 2 days, right? And one of the ones that just hit me right here is. Focus on the process, not the outcome. You said that, and you've got some great one-liners and stuff. I call them one-liners that you say, and man, they make a lot of sense. Focus on the process and not the outcome. And I'm watching you as you build this up, like you say. Work on each step, each process, the trigger press, the muscle groups, you name it, and it's absolutely fantastic to me. So this was a. What do you guys call this? The reactive shooting? It's
we call it reactive shooting science.
Yes.
And to continue about the background, after that several projects in the Middle East. One of them, we developed actually a counter-terror unit over there. And after that, I decided to move in the United States because that's the shooting mecca of the world, right? I love to teach, I love to shoot. So I said, let's go there. And I was fortunate enough to meet Ron Avery.
Okay.
And we chat, and then I started to help like an assistant instructor in TPC, in Tactical Performance Center.
Sure.
That was found by Ron and Ken Nelson. Ken Nelson is developer of Practice Score, very well-known software for scoring most of the practical shooting competitions in United States and all over the world, right? So both of them, they found the Tactical Performance Center, and Ron Avery was the core developer of the doctrine reactive shooting science. He actually spent over 37 years of his life observing and shooting together and talking, interviewing the top shooters in the world. And he found out that regardless of their background, you know, all the top shooters, they're applying the same things. So he able to formulate the principles that they apply in order to focus and define the top performance with the firearms.
Right. And it makes for just a phenomenal system. So you're here and you are carrying on his legacy.
That's the mission. That's the mission of TPC right now.
Right.
Sadly, we lost Ron like 3 years ago after 3 years long battle with cancer, bone cancer. But we said, it's too good to let that doctrine to fade away, right? So we are doing our best to continue the legacy and to improve and to make it even more fun and more easy to be digested by the students a little bit easier, right? Because it's a science. It's very deep. It's very scientific. It has its philosophy behind, and you can see even a lot of students that are that they're repeat students. They each and every time when they participate in the class, they say, right now I actually connect more dots and more dots, and that can happen even in the 10th class that you take.
Oh, and it is. It's so true, too, because I went and I showed up, and I was an actual student at a class. And then you guys came up with some just phenomenal, like an online course. So I signed up for that, and I watched that and kind of just redid the whole class myself. And then I'm observing now, and every time it's something different. It's something different. I'm taking something different and connecting more dots. And it's fascinating to watch this, even the students in the class we have here. And you can see day by day how they're connecting the dots, right? And when you're in there in the class shooting, you just focus kind of on yourself a little bit, and that's what you should be, but you don't get to see that. But definitely, I could see, I think after I took the first class, it was like second day in, I was like, I want to take 2. I want to take the Handgun Mastery 2. I really do. After the third class, I was like, Todd, you're not ready for Handgun Mastery 2. There's a lot. You get a lot in 3 days. And you have to figure out how to put it all together. And I was just talking to one of these guys out here, and I was like, you guys will still be putting things together in 3 weeks, 4 weeks down the road, right? I mean, it's so much. And I love how it shows that shooting isn't just picking up a gun and shooting. There's so much more to it, right? It's not what your granddaddy taught you.
No. It's we approach in... we truly believe, everybody in a Tactical Performance Center, we believe, and we approach shooting and any kind of dealing with the firearms. It's a martial art. It's a martial art because it has the philosophy behind it. It's not just grabbing a gun or a rifle and just shoot. It's there's a lot of philosophy behind it, and it's mastery as well. It means there's so much to improve, and you can never reach the top. It's always potential to improve and to progress. It's never-ending journey. And
one of my big takeaways was, I think I even mentioned this, the class that I actually attended. It was like the yoga of shooting. This class is like the yoga of shooting. It's kind of like the Zen, right? I mean, we talk about using and activating different muscle groups, and physically, we're just standing on a line shooting, but physically this class will wear you out. Well, a little physically, but mentally just a ton. And when I was taking this class in Arizona, I remember we took all those breaks. I'm like, why are we taking all these breaks? end of the day, you're just done. You're mentally, you're just drained. You're smiling over that because
Yeah.
And I watch these guys. They come in and they were a little tired this morning. They're going to be really tired tonight.
For sure.
I don't think they realize it yet.
No.
Well, they'll talk about it in the morning, but they're going to be a lot more tired tomorrow because it's just you're so focused. You're so hyper focused on everything. And I love when you guys talk about, we don't need to give away the secrets to your class or anything on the podcast, but I love when you guys talk about accepting the recoil. It's coming. You have to accept it. And it sounds funny. That was a big game changer for me, right? Accept the recoil. Don't fight against it. Accept it. That just the whole doctrine, I guess is what you guys call it, is just absolutely amazing. I honestly think everyone, I'm not just saying this because you're here, I've been saying it for the last year, everyone needs to take this class. Everyone. They need to, you guys, I won't say outside the box, that's not a negative term, but you guys look at it different than anyone else looks at it. You teach it different than anyone else teaches it. And I just think that's fantastic. You think outside of the box and you dig into the, what are the three things that, in fact, they're on my phone. Let me pull it up here. I did take some notes here. You asked them at the very beginning of the class, you asked some questions. Or you say you like to teach, what, how, when, and why.
Yeah.
Did I get those? Did I get those right?
Yeah, it's what. First question is what, right?
Yeah.
What exactly? If let's put it that way. If you claim that you own a skill, if you completely understand it and you own it, you need to be able to answer that 4 questions, even if somebody surprisingly asks you without hesitation, right? First question is very simple. 4 questions. First one is what, how, when you need to apply that specific skill, and probably one of the most important questions is why doing that way will give us any kind of advantage, right? Why you need to do it exactly that way. And if you're not be able to, or if you're hesitant to answer one of these questions, that means that you do not understand the skill in depth. You need still to research and still keep digging until you understand everything in depth.
And once you do that, you kind of own that skill at that point.
Correct. You can manipulate that skill whatever you like, and you can feed it whatever you need to.
Yeah,
right?
and I'm not knocking the NRA or anything like that, but and I've been an instructor not for I've been probably 8 years now, right? And so a lot of my students are just the brand new gun owners, and they brand new gunners are people that want their concealed carry permits, or I've never owned a gun before, I want to come shoot some and just learn some basic safety, that kind of stuff. And that's what I get around here, right? There's nothing wrong with that. I love that kind of teaching and all this stuff. But so I call it the NRA way. So I was NRA certified, which doesn't mean a whole lot anymore. It means that you got a little bit of cred, right? Someone said you did good at something or did okay at something. But you have the NRA way of doing stuff. You have the isosceles stance. You have the Weaver stance. You have the trigger press. You got this grip. And it's just a basic. But what's the why? No one's ever told me a why before. Does that make sense? I never taken a class and no one's ever told me a why. And for years, I kind of feel bad, right? I'm teaching some of this, not your stuff, but I'm teaching some of this basic stuff, and I don't know that I know the why behind it. And I kind of figured it out after a while, but I never taught the why. You got to teach the why. It makes sense to me, and it's just amazing sitting up here and watching you just watching you instruct out there. It's just I learn so much as an instructor. I think it actually is going to make me a better instructor. Yeah,
if you don't understand why you're doing something, you just copycat, right? You're copying somebody.
Yep.
But the problem is that at some point, probably you don't know exactly where you need to apply that skill.
Right.
Right. When it will be adequate to apply that skill. Mm-hmm. And the most important thing is you don't understand the benefits of doing it in that way, using a specific technique, and what kind of advantage that will have against another technique, let's say. Mm-hmm. So why we think that why it's probably the most important question. So it always needs to search for why. Because that puts the puzzle together.
Oh, exactly.
You have that holistic image of the performance at that point.
Right. So how long have you been with TPC now?
So probably a little bit more than 4 years right now.
Very nice.
So currently I'm a director of training, and I have the honor to to kind of to continue the legacy.
Right.
And we constantly try to improve the program, not in a sense to add a new thing so much, but to make it more challenging, and not more challenging, but more easy to understand. So to break it to more progressive way, to put more layers, and after that to implement that new challenges over there, in order to make it more fun for the students, to give them a specific metric so they can measure their progress, right, to compare each other. And again, the factor of competition is always making people to focus more, because they want to perform better. Comparing to their friends, to their shooting buddies, and etc., or to compare their progress with some of the top guys in the country or in the world.
And you guys have, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm trying to think, because I essentially just printed everything off already, but can someone just, without taking one of your classes, I mean, I'd love to take a class, can they go to your website and find those challenges? Yeah,
actually they can find all the targets that we use in the Handgun Mastery 1 and 2. They're free for download in our website, tacticalperformancecenter.com. And also they can find the challenges, all the challenges, to print the targets, very simple targets, PDF files, and just in a letter size, so nothing fancy. You don't need a crazy setup. And also they can print the full description of the challenge. They can take that in their range bag. They can go in the range, read it, execute, apply, see, compare where they are, and take some notes.
And print off lots of them, because you won't be just doing one. I guarantee it. You'll be doing lots. I've got piles of them, and I come out here every now and then and I challenge myself.
Now, also in the website, they can see the video descriptions of each challenge and how it's supposed to be done. And they can go to the section that we call our TPC Hall of Fame. So in TPC Hall of Fame, they will see all the students, all the shooters actually that they achieved Grandmaster level in the challenges witnessed by a TPC instructor. And they will receive the TPC coin of the Grandmaster, which is a very nice brass coin plus a very fancy certificate of achievement.
Nice. I'm a disciple. I have good days. I have bad days.
But that's a strive for a progress, right?
Yes, exactly. So you guys travel around and do classes. I mean, that's honestly, if you're an instructor, that's the way you're going to have to do it. If you have a shooting school, right? You can't. It's just. Ask me how I know. You have to travel. You guys are all over. I mean, where are some of the spots that you go every year?
Yeah, actually, this year we started to travel more, even with the current situation.
Yes.
But yeah, we were in a lot of places in California. San Diego, Richmond, and we've been in Texas multiple times. Sadly, we cancel Alaska trip because just logistics right now these days.
Yeah, travel's expensive.
Yeah, and but hopefully we'll do that next year, right? And we're going to Colorado, and or actually, if somebody wants to host a class, just call us or reach us, and the requirement is to have 10 people, and we'll travel.
Yeah, gotcha. But yeah, so I mean, you could, you're coming to, near somebody. I mean, you're right. You have to travel a little bit, but you go enough places that you're going to be close to somebody. And so you kind of centralize for different parts of the country. I think that's fantastic. I love to see that. I actually look forward to signing up for another class one of these days. We'll see what happens with the current ammo situation. But you guys have a pretty good service. So if someone wants to take a class, because ammo is hard to find right now, you guys, they have to purchase ammo, but you have a pretty good outlet for it.
Yeah, we're happy to partner with HSL Ammunition, and they're great. They're very supportive, so they provide ammunition for all the students in a very reasonable price, and their production, it's super high quality. So yeah, we are happy to have a partners like HSL Ammunition.
Very nice, very nice. So let's talk a little more about you. Let's talk. I know you're kind of competitive. You go around and compete, and you have a sponsorship, and tell us all about that if you want.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm a competitive shooter as well, but I always look in the competitive shooting like ability to polish my marksmanship and weapon handling.
Sure.
Right, and it's interesting that there's a saying that. Competition will get you killed in the street, right? A lot of people, I think, they confuse, they misunderstand that depends how you use the competition, right? You cannot treat the competition tactics exactly like the survival tactics and self-defense tactics because they're different. The mission is different. In competition, you need to shoot a pre-built course of fire, preset course of fire that it's absolutely known, and you need to shoot it as fast as possible with a reasonable accuracy. Like in a real life situation, you need to survive or to save somebody's life, right? So the missions are completely different. That means that the tactics will be completely different. But the marksmanship principles that apply, they're pretty much overlapping. The manipulation with the firearm as well, and I can claim, with open heart that the competitive shooters are the best marksmen, under speed, and the best weapon manipulators at that perspective.
Oh yeah,
right. They achieve a mastery over there. So why not to use the competition like possibility to polish your marksmanship and weapon manipulation.
Sure.
And also competition can give you another thing. It can help you to actually perform under stress.
Yes.
And not to perform, reasonably, to try to perform to your highest abilities under stress, which is a serious challenge. Actually, shooting at the moment that you polish the core skills, I can say that it's about 90-95% mental.
Yes. We just saw what a little pressure, what a little stress will do just out here in class. We saw it in my class, we saw it in this class out here, and we had some guys that were shooting pretty good, and we brought out the shot timer and let everyone watch them, and you could just kind of see them. They kind of crumbled a little bit, but then they put themselves back together. But just a little bit, right? Just that timer, just that, okay, you got this much time. You got to, it's just an interesting thing to see. People think they can just take a gun, they can holster it up, and they can just walk around town and protect themselves with it. And that's so far from the truth. It's
so far from the truth. Actually, if you want to be pretty proficient, in a self-defense, actually there are three pillars, let's say. Three pillars that you need to, let's say that's the three different skill sets that you need to develop and to progress. That's the first one. It's the marksmanship,
right?
The second one, it's tactics and the ability to apply that tactics in a adequate way, in an adequate situation. And the third one is the mindset and awareness. Now, it's like a three-leg chair. If one of the legs are short, you fell on the ground, right? So you need to develop them parallel. When you're talking about the military units, the physical fitness is also a very significant factor for urban kind of a self-defense situation.
Yes, sir.
Not so much because, everything happens really quick in the close proximity. So marksmanship, tactical knowledge, and mindset, they are very, very important components of your, and they will increase the chance of your survival, right?
Right.
Now, in a competition, you can polish just one of these elements, and that's the marksmanship. Now, you need to put effort and to develop the other two with the mindset and the tactics, but why not to use the competition to perfect and to master the first pillar?
And you mean that me growing up with a 22 in my hand, shooting rock chucks and on my grandpa's farm isn't enough to save my life? What do you mean? Because sometimes that's the mentality I see, and I mean I think we see it everywhere, right? Yeah, you got to have more than just being able to shoot a 22 at a rock chuck.
Yeah, you witness how just a simple timer will add so much pressure, so people, they
crumble.
choke.
Yes.
They choke.
They absolutely
under pressure.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to put yourself in such a situations, and let's say force and force trainings will be it's very necessary if you focus in the self-defense and developing your self-defense skills. Now, interesting is that Tactical Performance Center is partnering with Prime Combat Training, and we have a class that is called the Comprehensive Combatives.
Okay.
So over there, we actually are covering the other aspect of it. So it's to operate under pressure, to have surprises, to deal with the problems under pressure.
Oh, wow.
But still maintaining all the core skills of marksmanship.
Right.
So,
is there any prerequisites to taking that class? Like you have to complete both handgun masteries, or?
It's not necessary. Actually, half of the class is kind of introductory to a handgun mastery. And the second half, it's you will get put in under pressure, and also some physical challenges.
Okay, and you've already started those classes, or?
Oh yeah. So we scheduled them, and for that particular classes, if people are interested, they can go in a Tactical Rifleman website.
Okay.
So they're in their calendar, and they can sign up there.
Yeah,
so.
I'm taking notes right now.
Yeah.
So. See me over here trying to look at you and write at the same time. So you do have a sponsorship though, because you do compete, right? You do competitions.
Yeah, I'm happy and I'm lucky that CZ USA actually provides me with all the firearms, and
yes.
I love CZs. It just I didn't take the sponsorship because of a sponsorship. I will take a sponsorship when I believe in the product.
Sure.
Right. So my carry gun is a CZ P09. I have a P07, which I carry appendix as well. And I'm competing with the Shadow 2s. They're awesome. And I recently actually visited the original factory in Uhrički Brod, which is in Czech Republic, the original CZ factory.
Wow.
Which was an interesting experience to see the exact process of producing most of the firearms over there.
They're nice guns. I mean, I haven't shot a lot of them. I mean, I don't own a CZ, and I don't know why, because the few that I've shot, they're nice. They're great firearms.
It's in the production process, it's very high standard, and they measure every individual part manually.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So to ensure that everything it's a top quality.
Nice.
So.
Well, I'm glad you answered the what firearms you compete with and stuff, because that was last night on my Facebook page. That was all the interwebs were abuzz. I got a little video of you shooting, right, and just talking about flat gun, and they're like, "What's he shooting? Is that a 1911? What is that?" Like, it's a CZ. I'll get the rest of the information later on.
Great ergonomics. I just love the ergonomics in the CZs. Also, they're very, very fast cycle guns.
Yes.
Right, and very accurate. Like out of the box, they are famous with very good quality barrels.
Yes.
And they have some aftermarket parts that you can adjust a little bit, the trigger, or you can replace the sights just to make it a little bit more customized to your needs. So,
gotcha.
Awesome guns. But the other thing that it's interesting and unique of the reactive shooting science, when you go back to the subject, regardless of the firearm, regardless of the equipment, at the moment that you understand and master the principles, you see that the equipment starts to matter less. Adapt quickly with the first, second shot, get it and focus on the principles. Regardless of the firearm, you will be equally successful.
And I'm not knocking firearms here by any means at all. I'm just kind of curious. I see lots of guns come through classes and stuff. When you walked into all the handgun, Mastery 1 classes or whatever that you've taught, what's the one gun that you walked in, you saw, and you went, "Oh man"?
Actually,
you said it doesn't matter, but sometimes you see these guns and you're like, "What is that?"
We didn't had a lot of inappropriate guns because most of the students are
They know.
asking questions before that, and
Gotcha.
we can recommend them.
Good.
Now, the problem, especially in the handgun mastery, can be like a subcompact size gun.
Right.
And the problem is that actually the small guns, the subcompact size guns, are the most difficult to control.
Yes.
Because of lack of a gripping surface, right? And it's very controversial from most of the retail shops are recommend, especially for ladies.
Yep.
Actually,
Oh,
that what
God.
they do is making it more difficult for them, right? Because they
Yes.
think that the small hand size and they need a small gun.
Yep.
But in a chambered in 9mm, or it's not going to help a lady to control the gun better.
Right.
Full size gun, it's way much easier to control because it feels better in your hands. It has a better ergonomics, and
Yeah.
it feels your hands, right? So you don't have lock and gap,
Yes.
and you create more friction, which is one of principles that when you're teaching a grip, you
Yes.
need to maximize friction on the grip of the gun. So full size guns, we recommend to at least to master the skills at the beginning, the core skills and principles with the full size gun, and then when you're more experienced, you can adapt much easier to the smaller gun. But at the beginning, start with full size gun, way much easier for you.
That's
It's
what I tell everybody. I tell them, the small guns, that's not not for someone just starting out. I mean, you got to know the principles, the core fundamentals, all that good stuff. I think you guys call them core. I got them at core principles. You guys don't say fundamentals, right?
No, we believe our core skills
Yes, core
because
skills. That's it.
Yes. The difference between a beginner and an absolute expert and master, it's how well they master that core skills. That's
Yeah.
why we like to call them core skills.
Yeah.
There's no other magic behind. It's consistency and just dedication.
Yeah.
And patience, a lot of patience.
And I love your guys' just take on everything. I mean, I don't know. It blows my mind. I love, if you can't tell, I'm kind of a fanboy, Ross. I really am kind of a fanboy.
And it's not only the technical aspects of shooting, there's a lot of mental aspects, right?
Uh-huh.
So that's why we use a lot of allegories and analogies, mental analogies, because we want to engage the subconscious mind.
Yes.
It's proven scientifically that the subconscious mind is way more powerful than the conscious mind. And if you find a way to bypass and actually trigger the subconscious mind, actually will have a better effect. Just pursuing that feeling, how it feels like,
Yes.
instead of go really technical in details. Yes, you can provide the technical details, but sometimes just chasing that feeling can make the student to apply it way much better, and you have a better understanding, and will help him to retain the information longer, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. One more question for you here. What's out of all the classes that you do, what's the one thing that you think people probably, when they come into this and they're first learning your guys' system, that they have the most trouble with? What is the one thing? Is there one thing that you think people struggle with the most?
Probably the grip.
Yes.
Pistol grip, it's especially when you're talking about fast shooting, rapid shooting with a pistol. At that point, the grip, it's very important.
Yes,
right?
essential, yeah.
It's essential. And we see all the time that the guns are not behaving well, and they do not return, they do not recover back after the shot fast enough for the second shot and the third shot, and this is how the accuracy will suffer if they decide to shoot fast or they slow down because the grip is not providing them the solid platform to make the second shot when it's necessary, right?
Yeah.
So that's probably the element that we see the people when they come to the class, they had the biggest issue at the beginning. But then we fixed that pretty early on. Yeah. And we have a very step-by-step process how to do it.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else you want to add? And I know it's been a long day out here. I know you're looking forward to get to dinner.
We can talk for days and for days.
We could have like
it's a subject of again. Our biggest mission is to continue Ron's legacy and to help the help the good guys win. So we provide for law enforcement and military 20% discount of every class that we can conduct, and we are very happy to see more and more law enforcement students in our classes, and a lot of militaries that actually get interested about it, because it just worked like a charm. It means we truly believe that's one of the best doctrines, and we don't want to sound arrogant. It's just the belief in the teaching process and in the principles that are formulated in that doctrine. And I'm saying that not because just like a naked claim, as we can say it. We saw so many times that it works. It works, and it creates shooters from very beginners just for 3 days.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's not arrogant at all. I agree with you, because even when I took the class, I remember Bobby was there helping you at the time, and Bobby's like, laser beams by day 3, laser beams by day 3, and it is absolutely amazing. That's what you saw on day 3. People, I mean, there's a gentleman that's kind of maybe a little newer in the class out here, and all of a sudden he's putting them together, right? He's putting them, and it's like just absolutely amazing.
And it's also it's proven in a real situations. One of the instructors, the lead instructors, Louis Tirona, he's a long-time law enforcement, and his profession actually makes him to use that doctrine, and that saves his life multiple times. And it was he multiple times he mentioned that it's exactly how Ron taught him. Yeah, and he saw the sights and everything. He applied all the principles that are necessary under pressure, and he survived. in a tough situations.
Well, I mean, it's amazing what you guys teach. I love it. I love it. And everyone just out here taking the class this over the next 3 days, they're going to benefit. They're already benefiting from it greatly. And that you can see that you're passionate about it, that you love it, you love instructing. You can just see that when I'm just standing. I'm that creepy guy that stands at the range, and I'm just like watching you interact with them. You're passionate about it. You love instructing. I mean, you have fun with the guys. It's absolutely. I mean, it's a great thing to watch, and I appreciate you coming in on the podcast. I appreciate you coming to my range here in Buell, Idaho, right?
Oh, you have a beautiful, nice facility here. It works. I like the scenery. I like the area and that beautiful small range. That it's awesome.
It works. It works good. I love it. I do appreciate that. Well, I'm going to let you go ahead and go. Again, thanks for coming on here. I know it's time to eat. It's been a long day, and it was a little warmer today.
It was a little bit warmer, but comparing to Utah, it's way better.
Compared to Utah. So anyhow, thanks for stopping by, Rossen.
My pleasure and honor.
That was Rossen Hristov. I'm going to butcher his name. That was Rossen Hristov. He great interview, great class. You've heard all about it there, and you've heard me talk about it the past episodes, and I'm sure you're going to continue hearing me talk about it in the coming months and maybe the next year, right? We'll find out. But hey, I want to say, hey, I appreciate all you listeners. I appreciate you listening. I did not do a YouTube live video on this. Sometimes for people I interview, especially if they're here in person, they don't want to get caught up in that, and I don't want to get caught up in necessarily some of the comments. I just want to have them tell their story and feel a little more comfortable. So that's what we did tonight. The audio version will, of course, pop up on YouTube Live when I get this thing uploaded. And you can always check out the audio version on YouTube, and the podcast type version, you can find that on Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, anywhere that you can find a podcast, you can find us. Again, like always, if you have any comments or questions, I do know that I've actually got a little backlog of people that I want to get onto the podcast in the upcoming weeks and months. If you want to be on the podcast, if you got something to say, excuse me, my mouth's getting a little dry already. Go ahead and get a hold of me. You can call me. You can text me. Area code 620-794-6223. That's area code 620-794-6223. Share this podcast with your family and friends. Share it on social media. It's the only. That really helps us. It seems so simple, but it really helps us. It helps us grow, helps us get out there, and that's exactly what I need to do. I want to get this podcast and grow it, and do what I can to further it. I want to keep doing it. I really enjoy doing it, and the more people that subscribe, the more that allows me to carry on. So until then, everyone have a good week, and we've got some big announcements coming up. Probably at the next podcast if I get off my butt and get some stuff done here. But until then, you guys have a great week. I will see you next weekend. Bye.